Hello, everyone. Happy Friday.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
We hope that your weather's better than ours. It's a rainy day in Omaha here today.
It's supposed to be raining all weekend, and we have a night game tomorrow night, prime time, and it's also supposed to be raining and storming in Manhattan. So we're hoping at least the thunderstorms hold off so we can enjoy the game.
Yes. Yep. And I'm hoping the temperature drops some.
Yeah.
I don't like 90 and raining.
No.
That's not great.
No. Hot rain is not good.
No. It's sort of like a hot mess.
Yes.
And we're happy today. We're celebrating our oldest child's turns 16 today. So that is
nutty.
Yeah. If we needed a marker that we have entered a new phase of life, if we didn't already know it, now we do.
Yes. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining. Hope you all are doing well.
So those of you who've gone before us and have children who are grown, feel free to share any, pearls of wisdom
Yes.
in the comments about what you would have for us to consider over the next decade.
Yes.
Anyway.
And hopefully I don't end up looking like Santa at the end of this with my beard.
Hey, I've been the one doing most of the student driving hours here now.
Yeah. Well, we got a few people in, so why don't we go ahead and get started?
Yeah, we're going to kick it off with a little update on the writers' strike. So, I should just call it the Hollywood strike because it's more than the writers.
Yeah.
But if any of you have been watching the news lately, let me get this headline up for you. Let's see. There we go.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Christy. Hey, Artie. Yeah, wisdom is usually a glass of bourbon for me.
Oh, well, if anyone has anything better than that,
Yes.
please do let us know. Anyway, yeah, so as I put up on screen here, there have been talks going on. I mean, the good news is that the media company CEOs and union representatives have been meeting. They were meeting Wednesday, last night, late into the night, and they're still talking today, so that's good. We saw one headline that said, basically...
that it was me ending yesterday.
Yeah.
Which it did not.
It did not, and, here you can see they stayed late into the night in a marathon bargaining session, but there were some headlines saying, they're doing this because October 1st is really the deadline if they want to have anything in the 2023-2024 season on broadcast TV to be able, that's scripted. And so they're supposedly, assumedly trying to wrap things up in the next week or so here. We'll see. I mean, I think it is a good thing that they're talking, but they have still a lot of details to hammer out. They have been making progress in some areas, but it's that fine print of how are the writers going to be paid, what exactly our residual is going to look like. I saw some details that the media companies offered to increase pay based on, I want to say it was number of views, and the writers were asking for instead of that, like audience size, and like if someone watches something more than 50% of the way through, they would get some more money for that. So, that between that and the AI stuff, I think they're going to be pushing that deadline. And I guess, and John can move into this next topic. They are finally seeing that it's impacting their programming now that fall is officially here tomorrow. Do you want to talk about the...
Yeah, I can. If you want to move over to some of the questions I had. Hey, Steve. To the questions.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Move up there.
Technical issues. I'm with you, Space Ghost. We haven't missed much ourselves. Other than sports, we crash at the end of the night and put something on Netflix or something, or like Seinfeld or something that we've watched before and countless times. But Woodage has a question about the Tableau 4. We weren't necessarily planning. I mean, we reviewed the Tableau, the older one, gosh, a year or two ago, I think. We did actually, interestingly enough, had someone from Tableau's company reach out to us this week. It was Wednesday or Thursday, wanting to send us one for free to test it out. So it's very possible that we may do that. We don't typically do sponsored stuff, but if they're going to send it to us for free, I'd rather do that than spend a couple $100
buying it
ourselves,
time.
Which is what we typically do. So we have received a couple questions about the Tableau 4, so it's very likely that we'll be doing that here in the near future. And we've been running into some issues with our
Air TV.
Yeah, the Air TV. So
we have an Air TV too. We have it
Yeah.
hooked up to Sling, and what we really like about that is that we actually like Sling free stream. Funnily
Yeah.
enough, we if we just wanted to watch like 10-15 minutes of news at
Yeah.
night, we like they're offering better than what like a cable network would have
Yeah.
that you pay for.
Yeah.
And we also like that we connected an antenna through it, so we can get our locals through Sling. And if I'm traveling, we can really be anywhere, and we can get our local stations through the Sling interface. But we have had some issues lately getting that Air TV to work. I don't know if anyone else. I'm just taking the time to say it in case any of y'all have seen this. Like, I've reinstalled it like half a dozen times, and it'll tell me everything's working, and then we go to record something and it won't record. So it's frustrating, and as you all can attest, customer service isn't exactly stellar. So we kind of want all that to say, take a look at the Tableau 4 and just see if it would provide some kind of upgrade from what we're currently dealing with.
For sure. So all that to say, getting back to how the writer's strike is impacting content, you probably saw this week that ABC and Disney announced that ABC is going to basically air the vast majority of Monday Night Football guys. And great point, JD. Yeah, great point there, JD, about Frndly losing their annual plan savings. So anyway, Disney announced that ABC is going to basically air the full load of Monday Night Football games, and that they are saying that it's largely due to the writer's strike and trying to fill up time in prime time, and they're going to carry it every week of the season, adding 10 simulcasts that were originally scheduled to air exclusively on ESPN. Multiple outlets reported that. And they're claiming that this is a one-time arrangement due to the ongoing strikes in Hollywood. I don't know that I necessarily buy that, given that it's coming from Disney. And they seem to hedge their hem and haw constantly. And they're saying that they're left without any scripted fall programs, which is true at this point. And so as a result, ESPN is only going to have 3 exclusive Monday night games this season, each in weeks when they're set up for a split doubleheader. It was the Saints-Panthers this week, Rams-Bengals this upcoming, and Titans-Dolphins in week 14. And I'm pretty much there with you, William. I don't really trust it. And it's unclear how many more NFL games ABC will air in future years, as Disney weighs their sale of their linear networks, not including ESPN. And understandably, the cable companies are pretty upset about this, because it's effectively double dipping in fees for Disney. And because since ESPN costs more than any other paid TV channel, plus the retransmission fee on ABC is also fairly high. And then, Disney's out there trying to sell ABC and other networks, which I believe that they're going to run into a challenge in this current environment, given that linear is dying, if not already there. So, I mean, on one hand, it's a good thing that people that don't have access to ESPN can get Monday Night Football if they want, but I think it puts it in a more precarious position, going forward, which in the long run, who knows if this will end up being a good thing that Disney is doing this. I mean, it solves one short-term problem, but what does it really do for a long-term issue?
And we'll have a video coming out in a couple of weeks that we're working on right now, talking about the future of live TV and what our predictions are there. And just what did your comment? Cable alternatives are about to end with these price increases. That's part of it. We're going to be addressing that. And it also circles back to the writer's strike because, John, when you say if linear TV isn't already dead, well, that the writers are paid off of an old linear model that doesn't exist anymore. And so we've been seeing some other comments come in on some videos we have out there. They're all over the board, but I think we saw one last night where the commenter was kind of slamming writers and saying that they don't write anything good anyway. And just
as a writer, how do you feel about that?
Well, I have empathy for the writers because as you look more at the economics of it and understand, if they're paid off of reruns on linear networks and those really aren't happening, no one's watching them.
Yeah. So that model's got to change.
Yeah, it does because people are still watching shows. They're just watching them somewhere else, and the writers should be compensated for their work. So
I also understand I can also empathize with the frustration that content is very good.
And we're going to feel that way, I think, more for the next year because there isn't going to be scripted content from at least from American studios. and you can, if anybody is watching any of the reality crap on Netflix, you can see the quality isn't quite there.
Yeah, and one other point, we read a report this week that the major free streaming services combined are now considered the 4th largest streaming service. Yeah. So just more movement that way, and
Space Ghost. You beat us to it.
Yeah, that's our next topic.
Our next topic is the fact that Max is going to start offering a live sports tier. Beginning October 5th, the tier is going to be called Bleacher Report Sports Add-on, and it'll simulcast live sports events for MLB games, NHL games, NBA games, and March Madness, and among other things. Current Max subscribers are going to get access to the new tier for free through the end of February. We get one extra day because it's a leap year next year.
Do you have the email that?
You know what? We did get an email about it, but it was in both of these articles, so I didn't bring it up. But because we are currently Max subscribers, we did get an email telling us this exact thing. And then after February 29th, or if, then you're going to start paying $10 a month if you want to continue to access that. So it's, why are they doing this? I think, it's them trying to... Well, they said, Zaslav said a couple months ago, and even farther back from that they wanted to bring live sports to the platform. So they're fulfilling their word there, which is a good thing.
And it makes sense that they have it, so why not do it from their perspective? Yep,
and it really widens Turner Network's coverage. And as we've been talking about, if people aren't necessarily watching it on TNT, TBS, things like that, but they are on Max, this brings the eyeballs to it that way. And they are also actively, getting ready to enter negotiations with the NBA. I had that note here. Let's see. Discovery's getting ready to hold talks with the NBA about a multi-billion-dollar rights extension. The league's NBA's current deal with Disney, ESPN, and Warner Brothers Discovery expires at the end of the 2024-25 season. So I think they're trying to position themselves for those talks as well. And just one other thing to note about that is that there's also going to be, in addition to games, there's going to be some, they have video casts, I guess, with Mookie Betts, Von Miller, Micah Parsons, Travis Hunter, some of their more sports talk oriented programs and things like that.
Yeah, and it is, Space Ghost brings up a good point that it would be a way for Fubo customers to get those Turner networks. And I read Fubo is sort of actually is spinning it that way, and it convenient for them, and it just makes me wonder um, if there. I didn't think that there was a very high likelihood that they were going to get Turner because they were either going to have to dump channels or raise their prices, and being at the very top in terms of live services, they're just going to further push themselves out of the market by adding Turner. It'll be interesting to see what they do, if they do anything, and I would venture to guess no, especially since they're already spinning it as well. You can get your Turner Sports through Max. Never know, mind you, that's another $20 at least a month.
It is, and just wanted to address JD's comment. So I didn't see that. Seth Meyers was on last night, and you said the jokes are really bad. I'm curious. It doesn't surprise me, I guess. With that writers' strike, Drew Barrymore got herself in hot water for saying she was going to bring her show back without writers. Bill
Maher did too, and Woodage brought that up.
Yeah, Maher was going to come on and do what he could without, I think they were both trying to handle it and also bring up the point that they want to try to give other people that are associated with those productions work that pays. So it's interesting, though. I didn't hear that about Seth Meyers. I'm not surprised that the jokes were bad, though. I mean, it's not an easy thing to write jokes that make people laugh. So
yeah, and JD brings up a point if we can pay annually for the Max Sports add-on. I've not seen yet. I've just seen that it's just the $9.99, which is a fair rate, I think, to get all those. But I've not seen anything yet in terms of if they're going to offer it annually. So
that would take it to $25 a month, or would it be $30?
No, 10 because
I'm meaning with if you add it on top of your monthly subscription.
Well, because it's 10. Yeah. So next is more into sports. Bally could end up losing rights to 14 teams, and this has just been an ongoing issue that Diamond Sports has been dealing with in Sinclair. Diamond Sports is stuck in the middle of bankruptcy proceedings, and they need to get some major deals done and create a go-forward plan by court-ordered deadlines. And I just read this morning that Sinclair is asking the court to toss out this lawsuit, and so this is impacting. Let's see here. The New York Pelicans, according to the Sports Business Journal, they were the first NBA club to receive its scheduled broadcast rights fee payment from Diamond Sports, and then they got their payment on September 1, meaning their game should be on Bally Sports New Orleans and streaming on Bally Sports Plus. The majority of the other teams that Diamond holds rights to are due to receive their payments from the company in about a week on October 1st or November 1st. And those aren't the only deadlines that they're facing either. It has until September 30th to submit its reorg plan in bankruptcy court to prove that as a viable path to restructure its debt and get back into the black. Now it's being reported that Bally Sports must pay these 14 teams to keep their rights. And this is very similar to what we just went through with the major league teams, which resulted in 2 teams dropping their TV deals with Bally Sports. This is adding pressure to the negotiations for both NBA and NHL seasons that are supposed to start soon. And I don't know. It's ugly, and
will they ever end?
Yeah,
it's a good question.
It is, and it's again, it leaves us as the customers, as the fans, left in the middle holding the bag,
and I suppose that if you go back to when they started, in theory, they were a good idea to be able to give you access to your team and be able to watch all of your team's games without just having to watch whatever was nationally appealing to the networks. But it just shows again, as the TV business is changing, these regional sports networks can't seem to stay profitable. So yeah, the Bally thing does really seem to be dragging on though, and I feel for people who are stuck wondering, am I going to be able to see my team's games or not? That's,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe we'll go back someday to you just have to go to the game.
but that's not a possibility for everyone.
No, it's certainly not.
Yeah. You want to get into DirecTV?
Yeah, I just didn't know there at the end. Space Ghost had a comment about Diamond. Yeah. And if you wanted to. Yeah,
and Fox is, I think, staying away from it, and I think they're waiting to see what ESPN does with their standalone. And read this morning that Disney may push forward their ESPN standalone app earlier rather than later. I just think it's more doublespeak from Disney. One day they're doing it 3 years from now, the next day we don't know, or it's coming in a year. And I think given what they had happen with Spectrum with that blackout, it'll be interesting to see. I even read this week that is cable in a renaissance, is it coming back? And
watch our video in a few weeks for that.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that. But William says Fox should be punished, but not before tomorrow night. In other Fox-related news, I did see that Rupert Murdoch stepped down. He's no longer going to be on Fox's board or running the company. So I don't know what kind of effect that will have, if any, but just thought of it since we were talking about Fox. So let's talk about this last piece of news that we have. Is on DirecTV and Nexstar Media Group finally reaching an end to their carriage dispute. They have signed a multi-year retransmission consent agreement that will finally get those Nexstar-owned stations back on DirecTV and DirecTV Stream. So if you are one of those customers that has been affected, it's more than 170 local stations across 120 cities. I know we experienced it, when we travel for K-State games, turn the TV on in the hotel and find out, you want to try to see what game is on ABC. Nope. It's just that message that says it's not available, and, anyway,
yeah.
Just kind of, and we were just only tertially impacted, but it just felt like it drug on for a long time. And so I'm glad it's finally, they finally come to an agreement so that paying customers can get finally access to what they're paying for. And John mentioned, but also recently Disney and Spectrum Charter, they also reached a deal. Got the Disney networks back up, and that one, I don't want to talk about it too much right now, but that one is, to me, more interesting than this one, because Charter and Disney agreed to a new kind of bundle that we really haven't seen before. And I think it'll be really interesting to watch and see if more of this comes down the road in the future. And so with that, and I think we talked about it last week, didn't we?
2 weeks ago we didn't.
So now it's select customers can now get Disney Plus for free as part of their channel lineup in Spectrum, and then Select Plus subscribers will get also ESPN Plus included at no additional cost, but they lose access to some of Disney's linear networks that probably, we know, like John mentioned, they're having trouble with those anyway. So it's just...
We're going to see more of this. We're absolutely going to see more of these carriage disputes, and it's generally speaking here, it's two big sides debating over large sums of money, and it leaves us as the individuals in the middle very likely losing out on content either that we need, like such as local stuff, or stuff that we want. Like sports. Yeah. And I just wanted to read this little quote from Charter's CEO, Chris Winfrey, because I think it summarizes what you're getting at pretty well. He said, "We're on the edge of a precipice. We're either moving forward with a new collaborative video model or we're moving on." And I think
what could end up happening is a cable company that offers broadband internet access, right? If everything is moving to streaming, you're going to need internet. Well, they end up being the hub where you can get all your streaming services through one bill. You know, you're paying them now to get at, because if ESPN goes, well, we know it's going direct to consumers. You could subscribe to that. You could subscribe to Max. You could subscribe to, you know, you name it, your locals too, I guess, maybe. But you only have to pay one bill for that. And maybe you have one interface. It could, you know, we know that's what Amazon and Google are trying to be, and YouTube is trying to be. So it's just kind of at this point, like, who's going to get there first? And I never would have thought Charter Spectrum would even be in contention for that. But now with this new deal, we have to concede that it's a possibility.
Yeah. And JD brings up a good question on, if you don't have a cable replacement service and you could only choose one, would you choose either ESPN Plus or Max Sports? And that's a great question. Personally speaking, for me, hey, Michael. For me, I would opt for ESPN Plus because since we're Big 12 and we don't have a network, there's a number of games, K-State games included, that get aired on ESPN Plus, and they have a fairly broad range of content, especially for stuff if, like, for example, we watched the Nebraska K-State women's volleyball game a couple weeks ago, and Nebraska volleyball is top 5 in the country. They're really up there right now. And we were able to watch it because it was on ESPN Plus, and that's not something that's going to be carried, generally speaking, on a major service. So a lot of the lower tier sports that still have a good following are going to be on ESPN Plus. But I would say, in terms of diversity, just looking at it on the surface, and obviously since it's not going to be out for another 2 weeks, we've not been able to test Max Sports. The diversity that it has, especially for professional sports, that's tough to say no to.
Don't you think it comes down to if you want amateur / niche sports versus mainline professional sports?
Yeah.
Because ESPN Plus is going to give you a lot of that amateur and more niche sports, whereas Max looks like it's going to give you
MLB, NHL, NBA, and March Madness, among other things. And what I would probably do personally, so we have ESPN Plus because years ago, ESPN, their website used to have something called ESPN Insider, and Nicole got me that for a gift years ago, and we still have it because I read the articles on there. So ESPN Plus gets folded into that. What I would probably do is I would probably go 50-50 and go during football and beginning of the basketball season, I would go with ESPN Plus and then probably shift over to Max Sports, just on the surface. But it's looking at the pro sports that they're going to offer plus March Madness. It's really, on paper, it's really tough to say no to Max Sports, in my opinion. And what I think is going to be interesting is if they were to decide to roll out Max Sports and offer it as a standalone option. It's not even out yet, but I just wonder if they would, get more people that way, get more subscribers.
Personally, I think they're trying to bring everything there so they can sell it. Yeah. But who knows? If they do that, you could see some unbundling. But right now, they're trying to put everything they have under their corporate umbrella there for people. Sure. So.
For sure, but then you're going to run into the situation of, I really want March Madness, or I want, some of these other games, but I don't want to add on another $10 or $15 a month, because I don't watch HBO content, but I want their sports. Are they going to, Warner Brothers are going to cut their nose off to spite their face?
That would be like true a la carte, and I don't think we're going to get there because that's not profitable for the media companies.
Yeah.
But no, could be wrong.
Yeah. And William, I think you're exactly correct. I think they did have something to do with the Pac-12 falling apart, and I've read that both them and Fox were in the ears of the 80s, but that it was largely Disney largely ESPN that was involved in that, and that's just the further splintering and becoming more professional sports. College sports is becoming, and it's all about money for them. And I understand them wanting to make money, but what they've done is, I don't like it. And
that's why it really bothered. Isn't it Feinbaum who said, "Don't tell me travel's an issue because it's not"? Wasn't it him?
I think so.
It just really bothered me because it's easy for someone who's in media broadcasting to say that, but you're not considering the fans, you're not considering the student athletes in the sports that aren't families, where they play 12 games over the course of a season and it's done.
Yeah.
And you're not considering the rivalries. It's just
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like it.
And there was a question earlier about Fox creating their own app for sports. I think that would be great to see.
They have an app.
Yeah.
It's not great because you could watch the Super Bowl in it last year.
Yeah, that's right.
And it wasn't great. We tested that. We did like a short for the Super Bowl trying to show people if you wanted to watch it on the Fox Sports app, like where would you get it? And it was less than ideal. So it's out there. If you go to, your smart TV or your streaming device and look, search for Fox, you can download it and see what they have, but it's not built out like, I don't know if you're meaning like Paramount Plus or Peacock or something like that. They don't have that, but they do. Fox does own Tubi, and that's a pretty well built out free streaming app.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get the live football games or anything like that on there.
And I've read a little bit on it, and I think that they're waiting to see what Disney does with ESPN and see how that performs.
Fox,
yes. So.
Yeah, they're the other big, college sports player.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm just checking the comments. 2 top teams from one conference going to a bottom feeder in the SEC just for money is just dumb. And I so agree. And I read an interesting article. I'll just say this and I'll get off my football high horse. But they were talking about how Nebraska has performed since it went to the Big Ten, and Missouri since it went to the SEC. And we were just talking about this because K-State and Missouri played each other last weekend. It was a really good game, hard game for us K-Staters.
It wasn't a good game.
Because we lost. But no, I'm just saying like that rivalry is still there. And we're close enough geographically that like the fans miss that, I think.
And they hate each other. So.
Right. And anyway, Missouri, we were saying, makes a little more sense in the SEC just because of where they are. But Nebraska to the Big Ten really doesn't make sense. And they have just done miserably since they went there. And maybe they thought it was going to be good for their program. But when you're going to such a powerhouse like that and you just, you look at the long term and you really have to say, was it good for A&M? Like, are they doing better now that they're in the SEC? Is Nebraska? And what is that going to mean for Texas and Oklahoma? Yeah. What's it going to mean for USC and Oregon? And so I guess we'll see. I think personally, like, if we take the long view, things will end up shuffling back to where they came from. At least that's my hope.
I don't know.
How long are, Southern California people going to want to keep going all the way across the country for stuff? I don't know.
And Jen brings up a good question, and this should probably be our last one, about the proposed promotion relegation model following sort of what they do in soccer, professional soccer in Europe. I don't mind it. I think it could bring more competition. I don't see the SEC and the Big Ten going for it. I don't know what moving parts would need to be taken care of to do that. But I think it would be good, more competition, but I don't see it happening, unfortunately. And the way the NCAA moves, it'd be 30 years from now that it would even take place. And they're already saying that they want to restructure the new 12-team playoff that's starting next season because of all of the moving around. So.
And I just have to say, I do agree, Space Ghost. I would not classify Texas and OU as bottom feeders. But, look at Nebraska now. So is it possible? I don't know. I don't know. I do think that Texas and OU are, I personally think they always start the season overrated. And sometimes they live up to that hype. and other times they don't. We'll see how they fare in the SEC, right?
We beat OU the last time we'll ever play in conference, so that makes me happy, and hopefully we'll do the same in Austin this year. So.
All right. Well, I see we have more comments, but we are past our time, so we'll probably let you guys go. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great weekend, and hope your team wins, whoever they are, as long as they're not UCF, since that's who K-State's playing tomorrow. And again, thanks for joining us, guys. Take care, and we will see you next week.
Friday.